It's 9:01 on a Wednesday night. We have some major breaking news we're following right now out of North Haven. That's where a big explosion and fire broke out at the scene of a standoff that has been going on for several hours.
Yeah, all of this is happening on Quinnipiac Avenue near Orient Lane. That's where we find Channel 3's Matthew Campbell. He is live at the scene with the very latest on the situation that continues to develop. Matthew.
Well, Mark and Aaron, you're taking a look at live pictures from this scene, and in just the last few seconds, I do want to give you an update here. We did see two younger-looking males being led away in handcuffs. Again, we don't know exactly what their connection was to what's been happening over the last several hours, but this is what we know right now. Police were initially called to the scene here on the 300 block of Quinnipiac Ave here in North Haven at around 5 o'clock, and it initially started off as a barricaded man. At around 8:20, we heard this one large explosion, and then that triggered a pretty big fire here at this home, which we believe to be on the 300 block of Quinnipiac Ave right now. First responders did tell us that there were at least 4 injured, and we were seeing in the last maybe 15 minutes or so at least 3 what appeared to be law enforcement personnel being taken away via ambulance, via stretcher. So that's where we stand right now, and the pictures that you're seeing right now are a lot of the SWAT teams right now just getting ready to mobilize, because there's a lot of uncertainty as to what's going to await them when they approach that house after this huge explosion. You know, we've seen fire trucks out here, but from what we can tell, no one is actively trying to put this fire out right now, because again, there is some concern as to what may be inside that home. But again, this is what we know right now. What started off as a standoff type situation has ended with an explosion and what appears to be a huge house fire. Again, 4 injured, at least 4 injured from this scene, and we're going to continue to update you throughout the night on the Channel 3 app and on Facebook, and then of course tonight at 11 o'clock. Guys?
All right, Matthew, you mentioned at 8:20, that is when that explosion happened. Obviously, I imagine it was a very chaotic scene. What did it sound like? How were people reacting there when that explosion happened?
Aaron, this was just one loud bang. And, you know, initially, we've been on these scenes before, and police sometimes throw out flashbangs, which can sound like that. But here we are, blocks away, and this thing rattled our bodies. We were standing next to several other neighbors, ready to interview them when this explosion happened. And it was just one loud boom that truly did rock this neighborhood. It could be heard for at least blocks away. And then moments after that, that's when this huge fire started. We saw a lot of flames just shooting into the air, and then here we are about maybe another 45 minutes after this happened. The thick black acrid smoke that still is pouring from this home.
Okay, Matthew, don't go anywhere yet. Just to remind folks right now, this is a standoff situation that wrapped up at a home on Quinnipiac Avenue near Orient Lane in North Haven. This is our Matthew Campbell there at the scene right now. The explosion happened a short time ago. Very dramatic pictures. Matthew, an eyewitness across the street happened to be streaming live on his Facebook page earlier today, and the scene looked very quiet. Obviously, the explosion happened. There's a lot of chaos on the street right now. What are they...
Mark, you just cut out. What was that question really briefly?
What are they telling people in the neighborhood right now? To just stay in their homes?
Yes. As soon as that explosion happened, you saw a lot of the police personnel here on scene really urge the folks to just get into their house, turn off their lights. And a lot of the neighbors, they were kind of lingering around, between the 5 o'clock hour and 8 o'clock when this was just a man barricaded. It did bring out a scene. There were a handful of neighbors just kind of lingering around, trying to find out what happened. And then everything changed when that loud explosion happened. Police really told people to just get inside and stay inside, and that's kind of where we stand right now.
All right, well, Matthew Campbell, be careful out there tonight, and of course we will have the very latest, as he said, coming up on Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock. We also want to mention this. Yale New Haven Hospital, the emergency room, we're told, is now on a full diversion mode tonight, and we'll have more details on exactly what that means later on as well.
Obviously, some unnerving images. We just ended right there with an officer walking onto the stretcher, but obviously the fire, the explosion, and just the sheer amount of emergency personnel out there, really quite something.
State police obviously being called to that scene in North Haven to assist with the investigation right now. Channel 3's Jennifer Lee is heading in that direction as well, and we will have you covered coming up later on tonight and throughout the night on our Channel 3 app.
Yes, so if we don't see you at 11, also make sure that you go on our Facebook page, website, everything else. We will have team coverage at 11 with Matthew Campbell and Jennifer Lee.
And back right now to our regularly scheduled program. We are back right now with a breaking news update that we've been following tonight from North Haven. A huge explosion and fire broke out. This is at the scene of a standoff that had been going on for several hours there.
All of this happening on Quinnipiac Avenue near Orient Lane, a situation that continues to develop. We do have multiple crews at the scene. Right now, Channel 3's Matthew Campbell is live there with some new information he just learned. And Matthew, what can you tell us?
Well, Aaron and Mark, things are still unfolding at this hour. I am coming to you with these live pictures from inside someone's house. In just the last minute or so, police on scene asked all of the neighbors to get inside, lock their doors. The neighbors here were very nice, allowed us to join them in their house, and that's where we are right now as we're bringing you these live pictures. But in terms of what has been happening in the last 30 minutes or so, the fire continues to rage here on Quinnipiac Ave. We heard multiple explosions, all of them, though, much softer than the initial explosion that triggered this fire. And we also were talking with some police sources, and they confirmed that the suspect involved is actually still in the home. The fire originated, according to our sources, from another structure that is on that property, whether it be a garage or a barn. Frankly, it's too burnt, so no one really knows exactly what the structure is. But the fire and the explosion emanated from a different structure that is on that property, because as far as we know, the suspect is actually still inside that home here on the 300 block of Quinnipiac Ave. And right now, police were communicating with that suspect, urging him, coaxing him to get out while this inferno literally rages around him, because the flames were really starting to grow in intensity in the last 20-30 minutes or so. You know, the fire was never out, but the flames did die down for a good portion of the night. But then in the last half hour, they really started to ramp up again. The thick smoke that we've been seeing throughout the night, that ramped up again, and so did the flames as well. So this really became a more urgent, pressing situation, especially considering that there's at least one person still inside that house. So again, that's where we stand right now. The police again told all of the neighbors and any.
All right, obviously we lost Matthew Campbell there. Again, he's reporting from that scene in North Haven, so as you can imagine, it's a fluid situation there right now. But again, just to recap, the individual, the suspect, is still inside the house, which appears to be standing, but we spoke with an eyewitness on the phone a few minutes ago who said he believed the garage is what initially exploded.
Yeah, and so that's what obviously they're investigating. It continues to be a very chaotic scene. As Matthew mentioned, he is hunkered down in someone's home right now. In fact, that person who we did a phoner with did not want to leave his home. He was in his own basement behind a cement wall out of an abundance of caution as this situation continues to develop.
And had described all kinds of damage to his own home from when the explosion happened. He told us about broken windows, some of the trim from his house scattered all over the place. So right now his concern was staying inside the house while he was really trying to figure out exactly what was going on outside. And our team coverage continues right now as well. Jennifer Lee is live right now.
She is. She is at the North Haven Fire Department with the latest there. And Jennifer, we're hearing you actually just wrapped up an interview with a neighbor.
Yes, Mark and Aaron, just up the road here on Quinnipiac Avenue. We parked over at the Gulf gas station where some of the people who live along Quinnipiac Avenue have just tried to remove themselves from this intense police situation. You can tell that people are very shaken up just describing the events that they saw unfold. In fact, a 19-year-old, his name is Sean Pitts, he says he was right across the street when this police barricade situation happened around 5:30. A couple hours later, unexpectedly, that explosion, he said he witnessed it.
His house went up in flames and a flash went, and it shook the roof of my entire house. So we ran to the basement and had to grab him real quick. He was freaking out, so we had to grab him and run to the basement. I just thank God that we're okay, because my life flashed before my eyes.
So a lot of people Very shaken up today, and we did see people giving each other hugs, obviously just trying to make sure that everyone that they know who lives along Quinnipiac Avenue is safe and okay. I can tell you that this street, there is a ton of emergency vehicles for several hundred feet, and I can tell you that it's very difficult for vehicles to even get through right now. So a lot of coordination going on with this intense situation that is unfolding. We are going to remain on the scene and try and bring you as many updates as we can. Reporting live in North Haven, Jennifer Lee, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Jennifer, thank you very much. And just unbelievable hearing from eyewitnesses, the chaotic scene and just what they had to go through tonight. So scary.
And we did see some first responders being taken away on stretchers in some video that we have that we will again be showing you tonight at 11 o'clock again, because I don't think we can pull it up right this second. But first responders on stretchers that were being removed from that scene. But again, some of them were walking. They appeared to be okay, but just taken to the hospital.
Yeah. And Yale New Haven's emergency room is on full diversion mode right now. We do want to mention that. We have Roger Suzanin standing by there. That is a picture of the situation at Yale New Haven's emergency room. We are told the road near that hospital is now closed.
I would imagine that full diversion mode would just mean that, again, the facility is focused on this one critical situation and anyone is perhaps being sent to another location. Again, Roger is there, and we have a lot to cover when you join us tonight at 11 o'clock.
We do continued team coverage. We will have Jennifer, we will have Roger, and we will have Matthew, of course, for breaking news updates at any time, Facebook page, and the Channel 3 app.
We will see you in about an hour.
Now on Eyewitness News.
Right now at 11 o'clock, we're launching an early warning weather day ahead of what could be a stormy Thursday in some parts of the state. You can see a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. Bruce will have much more on your forecast straight ahead.
But first, we have breaking news in North Haven tonight. A standoff, an explosion, and a fire that sent people to the hospital, including police officers. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Erin Connolly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Zinni. Now, at any moment, the police will be updating us, and we will bring it to you live. But the Pinpoint News Tracker here takes you to the scene on the 300 block of Quinnipiac Avenue. We have team coverage in North Haven, including Roger Suzanin at Yale New Haven Hospital.
But first, let's get right over to Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Matthew Campbell, who has been on the scene for the last 3 hours. And Matthew, certainly a chaotic night, and that chaos just continues.
Yeah, Aaron and Mark, things are unfolding right now at this hour. We are broadcasting to you live from inside somebody's house here on the 300 block here on Quinnipiac Ave. We were told to shelter in place, so that's what we did. The people here gracious enough to allow us inside, and just seconds ago, as you guys were talking to me, the power was cut out in this area. So it seems as if the SWAT teams that you're seeing right now, right outside in front of this person's home, they are about to do something tactical that required the power to be cut out. So just to kind of give you a recap as to how we got to this. This started at around 5 o'clock, according to neighbors, where police were called here for a man who was barricaded inside a home. Again, that home somewhere on the 300 block of Quinnipiac Ave. At around 8:20, we were already on scene when we heard and felt a large explosion that jolted the neighborhood. And seconds after that, I would say maybe 10-15 seconds after that, we saw a huge fireball and flames engulfed that structure that exploded. And that fire has raged ever since, and it continues on at this hour. This is what we know, that according to sources, that structure that exploded, where that explosion occurred, was either a barn or a garage. The suspect is still in the house at this hour, and police have been coaxing him to try to come out, try to convince him to come out, but that has not happened. All while this inferno literally rages from that burnt up barn or garage, whatever it may be. That fire is still going on all around him, and it has been blazing for the last 2 hours, 3 hours now. And there is a concern that the suspect, his health could be in jeopardy, and also the safety of the law enforcement here, the first responders. There have been at least 6 injured here on scene here on Quinnipiac Ave. We watched as at least 4 were taken away via ambulance on stretchers. We are being told right now, thankfully, that all those injured have non-life-threatening injuries. So that's basically where we stand right now. The folks in the immediate area, their power just got cut off. The light source that you're seeing right now, that is coming from a tactical van owned by, I believe, the state police. So that's where we stand right now as the teams here continue on their plan to kind of take this guy and have him either surrender or apprehend him in some form. So that's basically where we are right now. You're seeing all of this unfold from this person's home here on Quinnipiac Ave as we continue to shelter in place. And we've been told to shelter in place for the last hour or so.
Okay, Channel 3's Matthew Campbell. Obviously, it does look like something is about to happen there. Matthew is in a home right near the scene, coming to us live from their living room right now.
And obviously, police and law enforcement trying to do everything they can to enhance everyone's safety and minimize damage in what already has been a very damaging night.
Matthew, we will check back in with you in a few minutes. Stay right there. Be careful. Meanwhile, people everywhere being told to stay in their homes and to avoid that area. You can imagine how people in the neighborhood are feeling right now as the suspect, we're told, may still be inside that home.
Certainly scary, to say the very least. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Jennifer Lee continues our team coverage now from the North Haven Fire Department. That's also where a press conference is set to begin in just a few minutes. Jennifer, what's the latest there?
Yes, Mark and Aaron. So right now, all news crews are huddled here at the fire department on Quinnipiac Avenue here in North Haven, and we are expecting to hear from first responders. I'm actually going to duck out of the way so you can actually see conversations happening right here, and we are waiting for someone to come over to give us official information from police, from firefighters who are on scene. Now, I do want to point out that people have been visibly upset. People who live on Quinnipiac Avenue, we have seen firefighters escorting people beyond the police tape, beyond the police lines here. Up the road, there's a gas station. That's also where we met 18-year-old Jose Gomez, visibly shaken up. He says he was at a house across the street from where police surrounded that home where a man reportedly barricaded himself. He says that was around 5:30 when police first arrived, and a couple hours later, he said he heard and saw that explosion.
Horrible ordeal for people who live out here. I literally couldn't, I couldn't move for 1 second. He literally picked me up and literally put me inside the whole, inside the basement and everything. And I was crying my tears out so bad. How emotional this has been for them out here.
Yes, and beyond the emergency vehicles at that gas station that I had mentioned, we have seen people hugging one another, making phone calls to make sure their friends and loved ones are okay tonight with this immense police presence here on Quinnipiac Avenue. I do want to point out within the last half hour, we have seen a lot of movement, not towards the scene, but actually away. We have seen a lot of emergency vehicles leaving the scene here on Quinnipiac Avenue, and we are expecting to hear an update from law enforcement, from first responders, and we will bring it to you live on Facebook and within this newscast. Reporting live in North Haven, Jennifer Lee, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Jennifer, thank you very much. And obviously, we've been hearing from eyewitnesses all night, and it really just hits home how scary that situation is.
A lot of these people have been inside their homes all afternoon wondering what's going on. Now, these are live pictures here from the yard of the suspect's home. Again, this is in North Haven. You can see the fire has started again tonight. There was a period earlier tonight, Aaron, we were speaking with an eyewitness who we will all hear from in just a few minutes, but he was saying that when the fire first broke out, people were almost keeping a distance because they weren't sure it was safe to move in at that point.
And they said the explosion was so jarring that it rattled their homes, it rattled their bodies. For a short time, the fire actually did go out, but as you can see, it has flared up again, and those flames just shooting into their air from what's presumed to be the garage next to the home where that suspect is still barricaded inside.
Meanwhile, there's also a scene right now at Yale New Haven Hospital, and that's where the patients have been taken following the explosion that again happened around 8:20.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Roger Suzanen is live at the emergency room with what he has seen there tonight. Roger.
Well, Aaron and Mark, as you mentioned, all of the patients who were injured have been taken here to Yale New Haven Hospital, and the hospital right now is in a full diversion. And what that means is that the emergency room is closed to other incoming traffic, and other patients are being taken to other local hospitals. Again, you can see that the ER is closed. to other incoming traffic, as I mentioned, but there is still a very large police presence here as doctors and nurses work on the victims that were injured in this explosion. As we mentioned, they were all taken here to Yale New Haven Hospital. We have seen cruisers from several towns in this area, including New Haven, Branford, North Haven, along with East Haven, just to name a few. We also know that emergency responders from other towns, including New Haven, are currently helping answer unrelated calls in North Haven tonight. Now, one lane of Howard Avenue is closed right in front of the hospital. Other than that, though, of course, traffic is not really impacted. Now we're going to go live to the press conference that just began in North Haven.
Surrounding SWAT team support, we're trying to coax the gentleman out of the house and trying to calm him down and defuse him. And that's really what was going on over there.
Is he still believed to be alive?
You know, I don't know. We're still trying to find out where that gentleman is, and I have not had any reports as to where he may be.
Might a manhunt ensue?
Well, I'm not sure about that. You know, I could find out shortly that he has been apprehended. I don't know that right now.
And you said while she was being barricaded, was he barricading her?
He was containing her in the house, yes.
How?
In a very threatening fashion.
And how long was this going on for? We've heard reports for days.
Well, today it had been going on for hours, and then apparently it had been going on for 3 days prior.
Was there any indication prior to today that this could have escalated to this level?
No. I was quite surprised when I had heard this had escalated to this level. You know, and sadly sometimes in all of our communities there's this degree of turmoil and perhaps mental illness that contributes to these situations. And I think the response on scene with the agencies, ATF, state police, police departments from all over the area, is a true testimony to the collaborative relationship that we have here in North Haven with other entities and other agencies. And they really helped us on this scene today.
Sir, how would you assess the response out here by the first responders?
It was unbelievably quick, and this is why we train our police department in SWAT. We hope we never have to deploy them, but these are the exact situations where our police officers and the regional SWAT affiliations that they have with other agencies, this is why we train them for these type of things in the event that they do happen. And today was an example.
What is your biggest concern right now at 11:10 p.m.?
That the neighbors understand that although this was a very chaotic scene, this is a very quiet, charming neighborhood here in the Mono East section. This is an aberration. These things don't happen here. So I would hate to have anyone jump to conclusions that this is the norm in this area, because it's not. We responded on scene. We had someone who obviously was in distress, who had some sort of serious problems where he barricaded his wife and family, and I'm very grateful for the response time.
Was anybody else barricaded, or was it just the wife?
Well, we think it was just the wife. I'm not sure if there were children there also, so that I'm not certain of.
Is the power still out, and are there people evacuated?
In this area? No, I think the power's on there because I just left the scene.
Is there continued instruction at this hour for people who live on Quinnipiac?
Well, what's happening is the scene is being demobilized right now. Some of the agencies are leaving because pretty much it's under control, but we're still, the uncertainty is I'm not sure where that suspect is.
So with that being said, someone caused all of this today. Should people who live in this neighborhood be worried? People who are listening to you right now, should they be concerned that something else could blow up?
Absolutely not. This is more of an aberration, and I want the neighbors here to know and the citizens here that this is a very peaceful area. And unfortunately, sometimes these things happen, and they don't happen too often in North Haven, but today was an example, and we have to be prepared in today's society for something like this happening, and it did happen today.
Sir, you're live on News 8 right now.
Yes.
What can we expect in the next hour, 2 hours, as we march further into the night?
I think what we'll see here is the continued stabilization of the scene. The state police will be taking over the scene because this is a state.
Okay, this is North Haven's first selectman updating everybody on the situation there and confirming right now that the suspect had in fact been holding his wife hostage inside the home for over 3 days before today's ending what appears to be the fiery end.
And when asked about how he was barricading her inside the house, the first selectman said in a very threatening manner. Obviously, the wife did escape, so we are happy to report that tonight. And he said that all of the training that law enforcement and SWAT team undergoes was utilized tonight for her safe return.
Obviously, a big question right now is where the suspect is. He made it pretty clear they're not sure if he's still in the house, if he's alive, whatever the case may be. So they're focused on that. Something else we want to mention, at least 6 officers were injured. They're all being treated at Yale New Haven Hospital. following the explosion that happened during the standoff.
Police were called to Quinnipiac Avenue around 7 o'clock tonight for a domestic situation. The first selectman, as you just heard, telling Eyewitness News the husband had the wife barricaded in the home before she eventually escaped tonight.
We have so much to talk about, and download the Channel 3 app. We will keep you updated all night long, but we will have more live reports coming up right after this break.